All right, so the Raiders are looking for yet another head coach.
Makes you wonder if they even know what they're doing over there.
It's their fifth in the last decade. It's like they're playing musical chairs with coaches.
More like musical electric chairs, the way they fry them.
They've got their sights set on Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator.
Bold move trying to poach him before the Lions even finish their playoff run.
But hey, they got to do something right. Their track record with coaches is abysmal.
It's a fucking dumpster fire, man. They had Del Rio, took them to the playoffs, then canned them.
Same with Bazatja. What good avs?
It's the Raiders way, baby. Chaos reigns supreme.
So this Ben Johnson guy, what's the hype all about?
He's turned the Lions offense into something respectable. They're putting up points.
So the Raiders are just chasing offensive firepower. What about their defense?
Defense. Who needs defense when you can just outscore everyone? Classic Raiders thinking.
It's like they're looking for a magic bullet instead of addressing the real issues.
They're looking for the next McVay or Shanahan, thinking Johnson's some kind of prodigy.
Isn't that a huge gamble? He's only been a coordinator for like 5 minutes.
Gamble with the Raiders. That's their middle name.
And to make things even more interesting, Tom Brady, the co-owner, is supposedly going to weigh in on the coaching decision.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Brady's got his fingers in the pie now. This should be good.
Can you imagine those conversations? Brady telling Mark Davis who to hire?
It's like a reality show gone wrong.
So we've got Johnson as their top choice, Brady lurking in the shadows, and a whole bunch of other names getting tossed around.
Steve Spagnuolo from the Chiefs is a possibility too, but let's be real, that's a snooze fest.
It's like they're saying, hey, kid, want to coach the Raiders? No. Fine, Grandpa's got this.
The N.F.L. is a goddamn circus band.
So they're looking for their fifth head coach in 10 years. Let's rewind a bit and look at the carnage. Where do we even begin?
Start with Jack Del Rio. He had that 12-win season in 2016, got him to the playoffs.
And then, poof, gone the next year.
What the hell happened there? Locker room issues disagreements with the front office. The usual Raiders bullshit.
So they win 12 games, get a taste of the playoffs, and then implode. Sounds about right.
And then there's the Gruden saga. Comes back with all that fanfare, gets everyone hyped up.
Yeah, I remember that. I thought they were finally back.
And then resigns in a shitstorm of controversy. What a mess.
Total disaster. And let's not forget, Rich Bisaccia steps in after Gruden leads them to the playoffs in 2021.
Does a decent job, all things considered, and they still kick him to the curb.
It's like they're allergic to stability.
Or maybe they just have unrealistic expectations. You don't build a dynasty overnight.
Especially with the constant turnover they've had.
It's like they're trying to build a house of cards in a hurricane.
All right, so we've got a team with a history of dysfunction, revolving door of coaches, and a fan base that's probably ready to riot.
Those poor bastards. They've been through a lot.
And yet there's always that sliver of hope.
The hope that kills you, right?
Probably. But hey, that's what being a sports fan is all about. Clinging to that hope, no matter how irrational it might be. Maybe this time will be different. Maybe Johnson or Carroll or whoever they end up with will be the one to break the curse.
Or maybe we'll be back here in a year or two talking about the next coach on the chopping block.
Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this Raiders saga is far from over.
All right, let's move on to this whole general manager situation. They just canned Tom Telesco after 1 year. What's the deal with that?
It seems like they're cleaning house. They want a whole new direction, a complete reset.
But isn't that kind of risky? Building a winning team takes time.
They're the Raiders, man. They don't do time.
But maybe Telesco wasn't the right guy for the job.
Maybe. Or maybe they just want a GM who's totally on board with their crazy vision.
Which, let's be honest, is probably as clear as mud right now.
It's like they're trying to build a car by starting with the paint job.
So what do they need to do to find the right GM?
First, they got to figure out what they actually want. What kind of team are they trying to be?
Yeah, it can't just be about making splashy hires and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
They need a plan, a real plan. And they need someone who can execute it.
Right, so they're in a tough spot. They need a new coach, a new GM, and they need to figure out what the hell they're doing as a franchise.
It's a tall order. But hey, it's the Raiders. We should be used to this by now.
They're a ship without a captain sailing in circles.
And the fans are the ones getting seasick.
Hopefully they'll find their way soon. Because the longer this goes on, the harder it's going to be to get back on course.
And the more frustrated those fans are going to get.
They deserve better than this constant cycle of hope and disappointment.
They deserve a team that's competitive, a team that's fun to watch, a team they can be proud of.
Right now, they're a long way from that.
They've got a lot of work to do, but it all starts with making the right hires, the right coach, the right GM.
And maybe the right attitude.
Let's hope they get it right this time, because if they don't, it's going to be a long, painful ride for everyone involved.
I'm not holding my breath.
Me neither. It's tough to see a team with so much potential stuck in this perpetual state of chaos.
But hey, maybe this is the year they finally turn things around. Maybe this is the year they shock the world.
Stranger things have happened, but I wouldn't bet on it. So we just went through the Raiders' recent coaching history. Pretty bleak, right?
Yeah, it's like watching a car crash in slow motion. But is there any hope for them? Can they actually turn this shit show around?
Look, there's always hope in the NFL. Teams have come back from worse.
Worse than the Raiders. I'd like to see that.
I mean, maybe not worse, but they've got passionate fans, a storied history, a market that wants a winner. Those are all good things.
Okay, so they've got the ingredients, but the recipe's been a disaster for years.
Yeah.
How do they finally get it right?
Leadership. That's where it starts. They need a coach and a GM who are on the same damn page, who share a vision for the team, and who are actually willing to work together to make it happen.
That's easier said than done, right? The Raiders have a history of knee-jerk reactions, constant firings, a complete lack of continuity.
Yeah, but they got to break that cycle if they want to win. They need to find a coach and a GM who are in it for the long haul, not just looking for a quick paycheck or a resume booster.
So stability in the front office and the coaching staff. That's a good starting point.
Yeah.
But what about the players? They've got some talent, but they've also got some major holes to fill.
The roster is crucial. Do they want to be a high-powered offense, a suffocating defense, or something in between? They got to figure out their identity and then build the roster accordingly.
No more trying to fit square pegs into round holes.
Exactly. Draft smartly. Make shrewd trades. Develop the talent they already have. And be patient. Building a contender takes time.
But they're in the AFC West with the Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos. That's a tough division.
It's a bloodbath, man. One of the toughest in football. The Raiders have been getting their asses kicked in it for years.
So you're saying there's a chance. A slim chance, but a chance.
I'm saying it's going to be a long, hard road. They need smart decisions, a little bit of luck, and a whole lot of change. But yeah, they have the potential to be good again.
Okay, so we've talked about leadership, a solid roster, but let's address the elephant in the room. The Raiders' reputation, the black hole, the crazy fans, the dysfunction. It's almost like they embrace the chaos.
That reputation can be a double-edged sword. It can attract certain types of players and coaches, the rebels, the mavericks.
It can also scare away talent who prefer a more stable situation.
Right. So how do they change that perception? How do they become a team that other teams respect?
How do they shed that image of a dysfunctional franchise?
Winning. That's the key. Success breeds respect. If they start winning, people will see them differently.
But winning isn't everything. They've got to clean up their act off the field. No more drama scandals or embarrassing incidents.
They need to project professionalism, accountability, something they've been lacking for a long time.
A complete cultural makeover. They need to shed that old Raiders image.
Create a new identity, one that reflects their aspirations for the future.
But how do you do that without losing the passion, the energy that makes them unique? The Raiders have always been a team that marches to the beat of their own drum.
It's a balance. You can be tough and gritty without being reckless. You can have passionate fans without condoning bad behavior.
They need to find that sweet spot.
Yeah.
The balance between their rebellious spirit and a culture of professionalism.
Easier said than done, of course, but it's not impossible.
Okay, so let's recap. Strong leadership, a solid roster, a clear vision, a cultural shift. Sounds like a lot to ask.
It is. But if they can pull it off, the rewards could be huge. Imagine the Raiders winning and being respected, feared on the field, admired off it.
It's a long shot, but not impossible.
Right. So what are the most important things they need to do this offseason to set themselves up for success? What are the concrete steps?
Yes, let's critical.
Hiring decisions, gotta nail those. The coach and the GM are crucial.
No pressure then.
Right. But seriously, those hires will signal what kind of organization the Raiders want to be.
So let's assume they make the right hires. What's next?
Take a hard look at the roster. Who stays, who goes. No more sentimentality, no more overpaying for past their prime veterans.
Gotta be ruthless.
Exactly. And then there's the draft.
That's where you build for the future.
They gotta hit on those picks, especially in the early rounds. Do their homework, scout the players, make sure they fit the system and the culture.
So they've got the leadership, the roster plan, the draft strategy. What else? What are they missing?
Accountability. Setting clear expectations for players and coaches, holding them to those expectations, rewarding those who meet them. No more tolerating prima donnas or guys who don't buy into the team concept.
So it's not just about X's and O's. It's about creating a winning mentality, a culture of excellence.
And that's something the Raiders have been missing for a long time.
But it sounds like they have a lot of work to do, but at least they're trying to make changes.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the turning point for the franchise.
I'm not holding my breath.
Me neither. But hey, stranger things have happened.
That's for sure. The NFL is a wild ride, and the Raiders are always good for a surprise or two.
Okay, so we've talked about leadership, culture, roster, but what are the biggest hurdles the Raiders got to clear this offseason?
Man, they've got a mountain of them. Finding the right coach and GM, that's just the start.
What else you got?
They're staring down a salary cap mess free agency, a crucial draft. And oh yeah, they play in the toughest division in football.
Let's start with the salary cap. How bad is it?
It's a goddamn migraine. They've got some massive contracts on the books. Gonna have to make some tough decisions about who to keep, who to cut.
Sounds like financial surgery.
You got it. Cutting away the dead weight to make room for new growth.
And that's going to piss off some fans.
Sentimentality doesn't win championships. They gotta be ruthless. Prioritize building a team that can compete.
So salary cap is a mess. What about free agency? How should they approach that?
Be smart with their money. No more throwing cash at big names who don't fit.
Like they've done in the past?
Exactly. Gotta find value, target players who fit their scheme, their culture.
No more washed-up veterans just for name recognition.
Right, build a team, not a collection of stars.
Then there's the draft. Always crucial.
Crucial is an understatement. That's where you find the cornerstones of your franchise.
Got to hit on those picks, especially in the early rounds.
No reaching for projects, no falling in love with combine warriors,
Draft guys who can play.
and who fit the system.
So much to think about. Salary cap, free agency, the draft, and they still got to find a coach and GM.
And establish a new culture. Did I mention they play in the AFC West?
Oh, yeah, that's right. With Mahomes, Herbert, and whoever the hell the Broncos end up with.
Talk about a gauntlet. The Raiders are going to be fighting for every inch.
They need a roster that can not only compete with those teams, but actually beat them.
They need players who can pressure Mahomes, cover Keenan Allen, shut down Javonte Williams.
And a coach who can outsmart Andy Reid, Brandon Staley, and
Yeah, whoever the Broncos hire.
tall order.
That's the NFL, baby. You want to be the best, you got to beat the best. But right now, the Raiders are nowhere near that level.
They're at the bottom of the food chain in their own division.
They got to change their whole approach. Stop chasing quick fixes and build something sustainable.
Stop being the same old Raiders.
Embrace a new era, accountability, discipline, commitment to excellence.
Big changes, big questions. Can they actually pull it off?
Jury's still out. I'm not holding my breath.
Me neither. But hey, as you said, anything's possible in the NFL.
True. That's what keeps us coming back for more.
The Raiders are always good for a surprise or two. Whether it's good or bad, that's another story.
Well, folks, that about wraps it up for our deep dive into the Raiders' chaotic world.
Thanks for joining us on this roller coaster of emotions.
Remember, keep your expectations low and your drinks strong.
Until next time, stay safe out there.